At least 2 people have been killed in clashes with security forces close to the border with Brazil. Several others close to the town of Kumaracapai have suffered from gunshot wounds. All of them are reported to be indigenous Venezuelans. Now, on Thursday, President Nicolás Maduro announced that he was closing Venezuela's vast border with Brazil. Well, all this as Venezuela's power struggle is becoming a battle of the bands, with dueling concerts the latest stage of a showdown between Nicolás Maduro and opposition leader Juan Guaido. The events are taking place just a few hundred meters apart on one end of a bridge leading to the Colombian border city of Cúcuta. British billionaire Richard Branson is sponsoring a concert with more than a dozen musicians. Meanwhile, on the other side, Maduro's government is holding a 3-day festival called Hands Off Venezuela. Well, thousands of people have poured into the pro-opposition concert in Colombia called Venezuela Aid Live. It aims to raise $100 million for Venezuelans. So far, few people are reported to have turned up for Maduro's concert. Both events are due to kick off around now. Well, our Latin America editor, Lucia Newman, is live for us now by the Urena Bridge on the Venezuelan side of the border with Colombia. And can I ask you, first of all, Lucia, these reports of 2 people being killed in a shooting on the border with Brazil, what are you hearing about this?
Yes. Yes, Mariam, we've heard that at least 15 people were injured by gunfire. These were indigenous Venezuelans from a community, a very, very poor community that is very combative. They had already said that they were not going to allow Venezuela's military to try to block or close the border with Brazil, where the food and medicine that has been accumulated there is supposed to be brought into the country on Saturday. Apparently, the army arrived, the National Guard. They had 2 armored trucks. There was a clash between them, and the armed forces, we understand, began firing. At least 2 people were killed. There are 3 others, we understand, that are very seriously wounded. They were initially taken to a health center nearby, but then have been crossed, we are now told, into Brazil because there were not enough supplies in the Venezuelan health center to try to help them. So that is the situation at this hour, Mariam.
And right, all this taking place against a backdrop of 2 rival concerts, one initiated by Juan Guaido, the other by President Nicolás Maduro. Tell us about turnout to Maduro's event.
Well, that's right. The one here on this side of the bridge there's nobody there, practically, not yet. It hasn't started. They were meant to start at the very, very same time, but very few people have turned up. In fact, I'm at the Urena Bridge, which is just 10 minutes away from where the Maduro concert is supposed to begin, and we can still see people crossing into Venezuela, into Cúcuta, very anxious to see the concert on the Colombian side. There are a lot of big-name stars there. It's absolutely packed, we understand, but on this side, almost no one there. In fact, at this hour, there are probably more policemen waiting, we understand, for crowds to show up, Mariam.
All right, thank you very much. Our Latin America editor, Lucia Newman, there in Urena.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucia. Let's head to Alessandra Pieti in Cúcuta on the Colombian side of the border, where, as we were saying, Richard Branson's aid concert is underway. Tell us a bit about the atmosphere where you are, Alessandra.
Well, Mariam, this concert is just kicking off, and as Lucia were saying, thousands of Venezuelans have been crossing into Colombia to come to this concert. There are more than 35 artists expected to play today. Many of them are extremely famous across Latin America, so it's normal to expect such a big crowd. But we've spoken to at least half a dozen of groups of especially young people that were coming here, and they are saying that their plan is not only to stay for the concert, but also to spend the night here. And the organizers have set up a sort of a tent city for hundreds, if not a few thousand people that might decide to stay on this side of the border. They will be provided with food and be ready for Saturday morning to participate in this action to try and move the aid inside Venezuela. This will happen on all the 4 bridges connecting Colombia to Venezuela here in the border city of Cúcuta. And the idea will be to have a massive amount of people dressed in white on both sides trying to reach the bridges and across the aid on some trucks that we've seen are already lined up to try and move this aid tomorrow morning, Saturday, into Venezuela. But one last thing, we've also heard from the Colombian government who said that last night, and we've reported many times that on this bridge on the Venezuelan side is blocked by containers, that the National Guard, the Venezuela National Guard, last night welded these containers to the structure of the bridge, making it supposedly more difficult tomorrow to try and move them.
Thank you very much for now, Alessandro Ampieti, bringing us the scene there in Cúcuta on Colombia's side of that border with Venezuela.